31K, little fucking useless, dude. Nah, man. It's just insane how retarded you are. It's literal sped behavior, bro. Sped behavior. It's insane.
Bad behavior, says the guy AFK in spawn? Huh?
I don't want to fucking carry with you. I don't want to play with you anymore. It's insane. I don't have to fucking sit with you 30 fucking minutes and try to carry you little fucking dog.
Oh, man.
Maybe you need to learn how to chill out and just have a little bit of fun on a Monday.
That's what I'm saying. Your guys' idea of fun is just walking around the Deadlock map, not knowing what the fuck to do. And that's what you guys call fun.
It sounds kind of fun.
It's like sped. It's bad behavior.
It sounds kind of fun.
It's bad behavior, guys. We're being naughty.
We're being very naughty.
I'm gonna get grounded. Oh, no.
Such naughty boys.
Oh.
Is that enough rage baiting yet?
I hope he gets the help that he needs.
His name is Good Job Jew. I just realized that.
No way, dude. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is AndrewChicken, and welcome back to another video. There's one common theme that ties together all competitive games, whether it's Deadlock, Marvel Rivals, or Overwatch, and that's the presence of toxicity. It's just the nature of competitive games like these. Some people will take them too seriously, and when they lose, they'll take it out on other players. I've been dealing with toxic players for the better part of a decade now, and I've developed a pretty thick skin as a result. I've also been on the flip side where I've been the toxic person. Nobody shoot Drogos except... And while I never have gone as far as throwing around slurs like a 13-year-old playing Call of Duty in the early 2000s, I've had to address my own fair share of rage issues, and I'm at the point now where I almost never get toxic in my own matches. So, in this video, I want to talk about many of the strategies that I use to mitigate toxicity when it happens in my games, and how you can possibly defuse the situation and get everybody focused back on beating the enemies. And if you're someone who has problems with being toxic and raging in your matches, I actually already have a video on the channel discussing how you can cool off and stay focused on winning the match without resorting to flaming other people and getting into all kinds of frustrating arguments. Trust me, it's not worth getting toxic in video games, and you'll feel so much better when you learn how to chill out and really enjoy the games you're playing. But before we get started, it's important that we clear up one thing, and that's the difference between toxicity and constructive criticism. Sometimes, you might make a mistake with your gameplay and someone will rightly criticize you for it and advise you on how to not screw up again. While you might see this as toxicity at first glance and instinctively get all defensive against the other player, you should try and think critically about what they actually said. Saying you did something bad is not the same as directly insulting you, and so if they're not flaming you, calling you names, telling you to uninstall, etc., they're probably just frustrated by your misstep and want to help you do better so that you can win the game. While it's very easy to develop a bit of an ego while playing competitive games, it's important to recognize that nobody is perfect and that you can always do things better. You should try to recognize when you make mistakes that could have been avoidable and take in constructive criticism when it's warranted. Not all constructive criticism will be totally valid, but the important point is just that you don't lash out against players who you think are being toxic when they aren't actually trying to be. Anyways, let's talk about the real meat and potatoes of this video. Mitigating toxicity. I want to discuss in this section how you can stop letting other players' toxicity affect your own mental state, and then later we'll discuss how you can try to diffuse toxic situations. These are all strategies that I've used over the years to keep my spirits high in the face of toxicity. The main thing that I had to do to gain a thick skin when toxicity presents itself is to have a mindset shift. It's pretty normal to have your feelings hurt by someone who's throwing insults at you in a match or to get angry and want to retort. After all, you have your honor to defend, and you can't stand to let someone else besmirch your name. However, what you have to realize is that these toxic people in your matches aren't actually as strong or scary as they might seem. People who are toxic in online games are usually very insecure themselves, and they lash out at other players because they're not actually comfortable with their own gameplay, they're seeking attention and need to feel validated, or they've got something else going on in their lives and feel the need to act out. Furthermore, you usually only have to deal with this toxic person for like 10 to 20 minutes, or maybe closer to an hour depending on what game you're playing. Then after that, you will never see them again. They have no idea what your life is like or what your gameplay is like outside of that one match, and they are in no position to judge you in any meaningful capacity. They are total anonymous strangers, and you don't need to give what they're saying even a second thought. Instead of taking their comments in as something that you need to consider and possibly feel bad for, you need to see these people for what they really are. Sad, insecure, and lonely people who need help to get to a better place in their lives. Instead of getting riled up and mad at them, you should feel sorry for them and take pity on the fact that their lives are so devoid of joy that they stoop to the point that they're raging and yelling at a video game when they're supposed to be relaxing and having fun. So to summarize, the way that you stop toxic comments from affecting you is to have a mindset shift and realize that you don't need to consider or react to all these petty insults from insecure strangers that you'll never see again. Instead of letting them get in your head, take pity on them because they're the ones making fools out of themselves by hurling insults on the internet instead of doing anything useful with their time. You're here to have fun and enjoy yourself playing a video game with silly characters on the internet, and you're not going to let some toxic idiot get in the way of that. You're stronger than to let some petty teenager ruin your mindset and make you feel bad. Just laugh it off and feel sorry for them that they're acting like such a fool. And in extreme cases of toxicity where someone just will not relent and is spamming insults over the mic or in chat, or you have multiple people being toxic at the same time, you can always resort to just muting them. Every online game I've ever known has a mute button that lets you silence toxic people completely. You're really not losing out on anything by doing this. Sure, it's a good idea to have voice chat on most of the time so you can coordinate with your team and make plays, but chances are that if people are being toxic like this, there won't be any playmaking comms anyways, and you're better off just muting them so you don't get distracted. So, now that we've covered how you can prevent toxicity from affecting your own mindset, let's talk about how you can try to defuse toxicity in your matches. It's great if you can stop the toxicity from affecting you, but it's even better if you can make the toxicity go away, because you and your team won't be playing with the distraction of someone else yapping insults in your ear. This is especially useful if the toxicity is targeted at someone else on your team, because they might not be as strong-minded as you are, and you don't want your teammates being frustrated and distracted. And hey, practical reasons aside, getting rid of toxicity really just makes the whole world a better place. There are a ton of different approaches for how to deal with toxicity, and whichever strategy works the best really just depends on the type of person who's being toxic and how comfortable you feel with putting yourself out there. The first thing you can do, especially if the toxicity is directly targeted at you, is just to ignore them. Oftentimes, bullies are just looking for attention and for you to snap back at them, and so if they don't get a response at all, they'll just stop trying to rile you up. If someone is being toxic to you, they're really just making a fool out of themselves, and you don't need to dignify their acting out with any kind of response. The second thing you can do is try to explain the situation with de-escalatory language and tone. For example, let's say that you're playing Bebop in Deadlock and you get a little too greedy for some bomb stacks. You get yourself killed in a less than ideal way, and a toxic person on your team starts whining through the mic saying something along the lines of, "Holy frick, Bebop, dude, you're so dog poop." Clearly, this person is frustrated by your blunder, and you can recognize that you made a mistake too. To try and calm them down, you can try saying something like, "Hey, I'm sorry man, I'm still pretty new at this character. If you guys have any tips, I'd really appreciate it." Instead of getting defensive and spitting venom back at the toxic person, you can admit your own faults and try to turn the situation back around. This has the chance to make the toxic person realize that they overreacted and that they didn't need to get so angry, and you might even get some useful tips out of it. This won't work all the time, but it can be a good way to de-escalate some situations that I've used before. And if they're still toxic after that, you and the rest of the team can recognize that this guy is way overstepping his bounds and that he's the one in the wrong here, not you. You can also diffuse arguments by pointing out something pragmatic that I always like to remember when dealing with toxicity. If your team is fighting each other, then they're not fighting the enemies and they're going to lose. If someone is being toxic or people are starting to argue with each other, step in and use some variant of this line. You can say something like, "Whoa, hey, guys, let's relax a bit, okay? It's just a game, let's try to have fun. And if we keep fighting each other like this, we are not going to be fighting the enemies, and we're just going to lose." I always keep this line in my back pocket, and it's worked many times. Usually this gets the two people arguing to just say, "Hey, I'm not actually mad, bro." And then the conversation just fizzles out from there. By making them realize the practical consequences of their squabbling, they sober up pretty quickly and get back to focusing on the game rather than yelling at each other. However, sometimes people just won't relent, like in the clip I played in the intro. This is where I like to employ the third and my personal favorite strategy, which is to fight back with clever lines that make their flames and venom look like a joke. This isn't really a de-escalation strategy, but rather it's a way that you can lighten the mood and help the rest of your team feel better about the situation, and maybe even get the toxic person to realize how stupidly they were reacting, even if they don't get it right away. Basically, you want to listen to what they're saying and try to turn around what they're saying with a witty retort.
Your guys' idea of fun is just walking around the Deadlock map not knowing what the fuck to do, and that's what you guys call fun.
It sounds kind of fun.
It's like sped. It's bad behavior.
It sounds kind of fun.
It's bad behavior, guys. We're being naughty.
We're being very naughty.
I'm gonna get grounded. I really like this example because I took his own direct words and turned them against him in order to mock how toxic he's really being. By making the bully seem like a clown and a hypocrite, you can end up winning the argument and helping your team relax a little bit and maybe even put a smile on their face. However, you want to be careful not to fight toxicity with more toxicity. You don't want to turn into another big bad guy. You just want to make the toxic bully realize how silly they sound. You don't want to start flaming them or roasting them for their KDA, calling them a loser, or any other kind of purely toxic insult like that, because that'll just make you part of the problem. Instead, be strategic and flip what they're saying on its head or shame them by playing to their insecurities. For example, instead of responding with any kind of insult to someone spamming slurs on the voice chat, you can just say in a disappointed tone, "You know, I really hope that one day you can reach a better place in your life where you don't feel the need to make a fool out of yourself by saying things like that on the internet when other people are just trying to have fun." Or if you don't want to go quite as hard on them, you could just say something like, "Hey man, I'm sorry you're having such a bad day. I really hope things get better for you, bro." Saying that isn't toxic at all. As a matter of fact, it usually plays to the truth of the matter. If it makes them even angrier, then you know you've struck a nerve and that they know deep down inside, you're right. You just want to be careful not to stoop to their level and say actual toxic or insulting things, because it just won't work and it'll only give the other people a reason to report you and mute you too. Take the high road and show them why they should be ashamed for acting like a fool, and then carry on with your game and try to make friendly conversation with the other players on your team. Show the bully that their words are meaningless, and you'll have won the day. One last thing I want to touch on is how you can try to prevent toxicity from even happening in the first place. By creating an environment where everyone is chilling out and having fun, players are much less likely to start raging at all. This doesn't always work because some people will come into the match tilted from previous games and will be super easy to set off, but it's still a great way to keep a lot of situations wholesome and fun. The great thing is, this is pretty easy to do. In the pre-match state, while everybody is waiting in spawn for the match to begin, you can try striking up a friendly conversation about any number of different topics. If you plan on using voice comms, breaking the ice in voice chat with something as simple as a cheerful "hello" is a great way to set up the match for success. And if all that's too extroverted for you, saying good luck, have fun in text chat is still a positive thing you can do to make the entire match less tense. These might seem like super simple, obvious things, but they really do go a long way towards preventing toxicity. It's really hard to start raging at a guy who's chilling out and having fun talking and coordinating with his team, and it's really easy to start raging at a guy who's been silent the entire match. But anyways, that's just about going to do it for today's video. These are all the strategies that I've used to try and mitigate, defuse, and prevent toxicity in my games. If you found this video to be helpful, then make sure to drop a like down below and comment any other ideas you have for helping with toxicity. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this from me. But anyways, with all that being said, thank you guys for watching, I will see you all next time, peace out.